volume. Yes. Om Shanti. Om Shanti. Not easy for me to hear you, the sound not coming through. Om Shanti. Not hearing your sound. Sound is there, but very broken. Om Shanti, sister. I'm not able to hear the sound of Didi, and I'm hearing very broken sound, maybe from the auditorium, but it's not coming through to my device. You can hear me okay, yes? अभी आ रहा है sound. Om Shanti. Thank you, thank you.
जब सारा संसार इस वक्त को और दुख बढ़ाने वाली चिंता में निकाल रहा है, काट रहा है, इस समय इस वक्त की लॉटरी को आप जैसे लोग दूसरों के दुखों को मिटाने के लिए, उनकी मन की शक्तियों को जागृत करने के लिए इस समय को सफल कर रहे हैं। आप आज हम सभी के बीच में हैं, हमको बहुत खुशी हो रही है। एक वर्ष हो गया ना, एक वर्ष के बाद हम आपसे फिर मिल रहे हैं। हमने सोचा था कि पता नहीं कब, लेकिन इस वक्त ने हमें ये लॉटरी दिया कि हम आपसे फिर जल्दी मिल सके। और हमारे सभी भाई बहन आपका दिल से स्वागत करते हैं। और कई नए लोग भी हैं दीदी इसमें, तो मन की अद्भुत शक्तियां उनकी भी जागृत होंगी। और हम सभी भी आपके पुरुषार्थ और प्रेरणा से जरूर है कि हम अपने मन की शक्ति को और बढ़ाएंगे। थैंक यू दीदी। ओम शांति। और हमारे जो भी सुनने वाले भाई हैं, दीदी जो है सबसे पहले विदेश की समर्पित टीचर बहन है। दादी जानकी के संरक्षण में अपनी बहुत अच्छी स्थिति को बनाया और 72 से करीब बाबा के ज्ञान में है। और अभी आप अमेरिका में रहकर बाबा की बहुत अच्छी सेवाएं करते हैं। और आपका आजकल बहुत अच्छा रिसर्च गीता पर है और कर्मों पर भी दीदी ने बहुत अच्छे काफी रिसर्च आपके यूट्यूब पे दिए हैं। और आज हमारे बीच में लखनऊ में हमारे मन की शक्तियों की अद्भुत शक्तियां हमारी कौन सी है, जिनको हम और जागृत करके रखें को या अपने जीवन को अच्छा बना सकते हैं। थैंक यू दीदी। वेलकम दीदी। ओम शांति।
Om Shanti Suman Didi, thank you so much. And Om Shanti to everyone. Thank you for allowing me to speak in English. I hope that there will be translation for those of you who don't know English. I am very, very happy to be here with all of you. And I'm sure that, like the rest of the world, there is lockdown all over the world. And I know that the coronavirus has become quite big in India. and it has become very big in United States of America, where I am. And according to drama, this coronavirus is difficult for everyone, but for BKs, we are getting incredible opportunities because we can meet together with anyone in the world. All BK centers are having the Zoom system and doing online classes with Facebook and live stream YouTube. So the whole internet is actually filled with Baba's Gyan, yogis, meditations, group meditations. We have broken the boundaries of the geography of time zones. For you, it is Saturday morning. For me, it is Friday evening. And I'm speaking to you here from the little video studio that we just created in San Francisco. And upstairs in our classroom, there is another class going on, which is also throughout the world. And so every room has become a studio in all the centers. So Baba has copied, or Baba has inspired the IT professionals to copy intelligence, to copy the mind, to copy the intellect. And so we have something magical here within us. The mind is so subtle, the soul itself so subtle. It is easy for us to talk about it because Baba has told us so much, and we have been using these words ourselves a great deal, but yet we need to go deep into it because we have to understand the mind. No one has ever seen the mind. Everyone says, I have a mind. What is the mind? Well, that is so deep. Then the power of the mind, what exactly can the mind do? Associated with the mind is also the heart. So if you say the heart, you touch here, but actually it's the heart of the soul, because the mind is what feels. So I, the soul, feel with the mind. And in fact, all experiences take place in the mind, all experiences, pleasure, pain, happiness, sorrow, the different pairs of opposites that are mentioned in the Gita, that with the practice of yoga, we need to achieve a stage of equilibrium in terms of these different pairs of opposites, which are feelings that we have and attitudes that we have. Why should we achieve this? And what happens when we don't achieve this? I suppose everyone knows what happens when we don't achieve it, as we go up and down, and our ability to control the power of the mind is really not there. And then we don't really know what the power of the mind is. So we have to think about this. I suppose we would say that the essential qualities of the soul, which Baba says are purity, peace, power, love, and bliss, these qualities are experienced also in the mind. And one aspect of meditation is the energy of the mind is focused on itself. So in our meditation practice, what we do is to turn our attention within. So the attention, what we call as Buddhi Yoga, our focus of attention, normally is going out into the material world through our sense organs. But meditation makes us need to change the direction and orientation of the mind to go inside. So the energy of the mind is focused on its own self. So it's like looping back to the self. We have to come into soul consciousness from a default condition of body consciousness. So what is really soul consciousness? I, with my mind, must know and feel and experience that I am not a body. I am me, the being of light, with the capacity to feel and think and experience. And all this is the mind. The mind is a very scattered energy normally. And when the mind's energy is scattered, there is less power. The mind can become powerful when the energy of the mind is drawn in one direction instead of many directions. In order to focus the mind, we need our power of intellect. So when we talk about the power of the mind, this is what the mind can do, but only after the mind has become stable, steady, and still. In order to become stable and still, the mind must be pure. So purity of the mind means that the thoughts, feelings, associations, memories, everything is pure. What do we mean by pure? How do we know if something is pure? We see the contrast of what is positive and what is negative. And in the most basic way, these 5 original qualities of the soul are the positive, the pure. And on the other side, we have the well-known 5 vices, which I don't need to tell you because we all know that too well. When the mind is weak, then the negative characteristics begin to take over your being, and the mind will be drawn to those aspects of vices or desires or material attractions. And as you know from your knowledge of the Gita, it begins with attraction and passes through different stages until the last stage where intelligence is destroyed. And so we're looking at the mind, the intelligence, the power of the intellect, and we're trying to understand what these very subtle energies are. And why we want to do this is because we want to connect the mind with the mind of God. We have one mantra, very well-known mantra, Man Mana Bhav. And in English, to understand this mantra, I feel that a good translation would be to perceive the mind of God with your mind. Definitely God being the Supreme Soul, not a human soul. Someone who doesn't have a body, who we can only perceive with the mind. I myself am an invisible soul. God is also an invisible soul, but we can see with the third eye. What is this third eye, and what is its connection with the mind? The third eye is sometimes called the eye of the mind. Sometimes it is called the eye of knowledge. But it is essentially like an instrument, a very subtle instrument, through which we can perceive God, the being of God, and we can perceive our own selves. And then when we look at another human being with our third eye, then we can see that soul, we can see that being. We see behind the mask of the face, the mask of the role, the mask of ego. There are many masks that we have. These are all creations of the mind, creations of the intellect, but we want to see through that, or we want to see behind that. What makes the mind impure is when we see a person as an object. What makes the mind pure is when we see the original, essential soul independently of their role, and even independently of their loss of spiritual power, which has taken place over many, many births. This eye of the mind, or the eye of knowledge, is the eye with which I, the soul, can see God. And God is known as the Almighty, the most powerful, the most pure, and the purifier. And he says to us, you must focus your mind on me. And if you do this, then the effect of your negative karma will be destroyed. And this is also a very deep and subtle instruction, which we hear usually every day. And we hear it every day. Why? Because it is so deep and so subtle to understand that just hearing it doesn't mean that we understand it. There is a mechanism at work. The mind is very much influenced by karma. And so when we are studying Raj Yoga, we call it the knowledge of the Gita. And the knowledge of the Gita is basically two things. One is the knowledge of karma, and the other is the knowledge of how to focus the mind on God and hold that steady. Focusing the mind means that you're using the power of the intellect to keep the mind steady. The mind is sometimes compared with a candle flame, and emotions are compared with wind, which comes to disturb the stability of the candle flame. All emotions exist in the mind, and there is a big spectrum between very passionate emotions that we call rajasic, and the very pure feelings, which are sattvic, the feeling of deep and intense love for God, and deep and intense love for humanity, and deep and intense love for the wisdom of God. And these three loves converge together, and when we maintain and sustain this love for God, love for humanity, and love for God's wisdom, this focus of attention purifies the mind, because when the mind is connected with the mind of God, then there is an effect on the mind. Because the state of God, God exists in a state of bliss. God knows who He is. God knows everything in the cycle of the world. God has so much power that He can endure all the suffering of humanity. If we would be aware of that suffering, our mind would have to be so stable, so steady, and so strong to endure it. Gives us powers, and He says, I'm making you like I am. And so we have to think about, what does it mean when He says that He is making us like Him? It means that we have to have the powers that He speaks about in the same way as He has them. So our perception of people must be like His perception of people. When the mind wants to be powerful, or you want to have a powerful mind, then your perception must be focused on the original state of the being, and not see the current activity or the current behavior of the person. When you see the current behavior, then you lose contact with what God sees when He looks at His child. And you lose contact with your own self, and you do not see your own self. So this perception that God has, where He sees Himself and He sees us, and He is very aware of what is going on in the world, what people are having to endure in the world. And He says, look at reality with the same eyes as I look at it, and then you will see something different. People in the world are suffering from this coronavirus. Many are sick, many are dying. I believe there's about 4 million cases, but I think it may be many more, because many people don't have very bad symptoms, or they don't go to the doctor or to the hospital. But aside from the illness itself, people are suffering from fear around the illness. People are suffering from the feeling of isolation because they are locked down in their homes. Most people are in families, so they are not so isolated. But in some parts of the world, people are totally alone. And if they are sick, then they're not allowed to meet anyone. Food is put outside their door, and it's like being a prisoner in solitary confinement, but you didn't do any crime, so that you get this kind of punishment for no reason. And it is very hard for people to endure this kind of isolation. And so there are mental health problems. That means the mind, when it is not filled with knowledge, when it is not strong through meditation, then the mind itself suffers. the mind can become sick. Mental illness is there. And so for us, mental health is important. And mental health is connected with what we think and our ability to control the thoughts that we think. We have choice. We have the power to choose, but the mind will jump from one thing to another to another. So a thought will arise in the mind, or a feeling will arise in the mind, and that feeling will take over the mind. And you have the experience that I am completely overwhelmed by this experience. If it is a positive experience, you like it. But if it is a negative experience, then it's difficult because you have to endure, you have to suffer. And you need a very strong mind to be able to manage pain, whether it is physical pain or mental pain, emotional pain, social pain, financial pain. So many different kinds of pain, and all pain is experienced in the mind. And when the pain is very great, then the mind can break. And when the mind breaks, the mind loses the ability to come back to a stable state. And so when a person meditates regularly and practices soul consciousness and remembrance of God, you get the power to keep that flame of the mind stable and steady, and it will not get extinguished no matter how great the storms are. And love for God is in the mind. And love for God means that God, the mind of God, experiences your thought, your love for God. And God is reciprocal. That means whatever it is that you feel for God, God will give you the return of that. And this return of your love and your focused attention and your interest in God, this gradually increases the power of your mind. When the mind is stable and steady like this, then whatever thought you have, it becomes a reality. We call this siddhi in Hindi, siddhi. And sometimes Baba says you must become siddhi swarup. That is to say, the form of yourself, the condition of your mind is so pure and so clean that you do not have any thought except a thought which will become a reality. That means you keep the mind still and quiet. How do you do this? God speaks to us. He speaks to us. He tells us, as the Murli which I heard today, I'm still on Friday, Swadarshan Chakradhari. This knowledge of the cycle, this ability to see the self under all conditions, in all states, and to spin that cycle, and to know that I am the same me, whether I'm pure or impure, powerful or not powerful. And when you spin this, then you achieve mental stability. This mental stability that he gives us through the knowledge, which we then have to churn, brings us to a point of mental stillness. Every Murli has about 300 points. Any point you can churn. Churning means you move it around and around and around in your mind. Your intellect gets your mind to look at, to feel, to understand, to think about, to penetrate into the depth of the meaning of what God is saying. And we can understand this only when we come into his consciousness, his state of mind, and that we are on the same wavelength as God. Then the mind becomes still. When the mind becomes still and connected with God, you're able to receive. You receive a thought that he sends you. We call this touching. And when we receive God's touchings, it means that we can become like a conduit. He will broadcast something to us and we can then broadcast that out. Sometimes he says, can you not feel the suffering of people? And I think people are suffering a lot at this time. He says, do you not have mercy? So the mind is able to radiate that mercy. Radiate that mercy from your soul, that point of being of your own self. Radiate that. Sometimes he would ask us, if you are spreading waves of spiritual energy, spiritual power from your mind, how far do those reach? Just from a geographical point of view, I'm sitting, seeing you, and you are seeing me, but the actual distance between us is 12.5 hours of time difference. And in terms of miles, it's about 12,000 miles. And so is my thought reaching me, your thought reaching me? We can understand that this thought can travel the whole world. It must be focused. So let us stop for a moment now and just have a few minutes of meditation. And in the meditation, let yourself see with your mind's eye that point of light that is you. Turn the attention deep within. Know yourself to be this pure point of spiritual energy, a being of light, child of God, hidden in a human body, but your actual being, pure, loving, peaceful, radiating light throughout the world, receiving love from the ocean of love and spreading that like waves of pure love, pulsating like waves throughout the world. the rays of his light reach you and are immediately radiated out far across the world. From your pure heart, your feelings of love and good wishes to all your brothers and sisters who are suffering, who are affected mentally, physically, and relationally, also financially, from this big pandemic, which has changed the life of many people. Let your feelings of stability reach to everyone. Being still, silent, and beautiful. Om Shanti. Just in 2 or 3 minutes, it's possible to create a beautiful atmosphere. So I know that some of you may have some questions, so we wanted to leave a bit of time for some discussion together. And for me, the sound is not coming so well, so I would need just one person to tell the questions, I think. Someone whose microphone is connected with your Zoom transmitter, then I could hear more easily.
Om Shanti, Didi, may I ask a question?
Please.
Am I audible? Am I audible?
You are audible.
Okay, first of all, Om Shanti and a very good evening, Didi. I am a student of respected Suman Didi from Vardhani. And first of all, I would like to say that it's a pleasure to see you once again, though online, but still we feel connected as earlier we did when you visited Vardhani. You remember, right?
I do, very well, very well.
Okay.
I love Vardhani.
Didi, actually, it was indeed a wonderful class, and I feel that each one of us must have been benefited through this, and would surely like to imbibe all those points that you have mentioned in the class. But I would like to have a question. Actually, today also in the Murli, Baba said one thing, and that is basically in the slogan he has mentioned that the sign of the wasteful thoughts is a sad mind and maybe a disappeared happiness. And this is also, I think, I have noted down that you mentioned that when the mind is weak and negative character builds, and the voices and the desires grow. So I just wanted to know that being in a Brahmin family, there are situations that arise that sometimes it gets to be difficult to be in a constant stage of happiness. And sometimes it is there, but sometimes it starts getting down, though we try to keep a good, track on that. So how to keep that constant thing and how to be a detached observer, being in a job or when you're working in some kind of an institution. So it gets to be very difficult to maintain such kind of an happiness. बहुत मुश्किल होती है जब हम वो happiness को maintain करके रखते हैं because up and down बहुत होता है. So would you like to tell me or suggest me how should we be a detached observer and, keep ourselves happy throughout?
Yes, this is very important. And Baba has given us many methods for this. The first thing he has said that your happiness and unhappiness is because of your perception. You look at a situation and you say to yourself, this situation is good or this situation is bad, and because of that, I feel happy or unhappy. And Baba has said very clearly that this is the mistake. Our attitude towards these things should be that this is a TV program going on. Just because it's three-dimensional, it's still a TV program. And television is always about good and bad and up and down and this and that. But when we're looking at it on television, we think it's entertainment. And so if somebody is getting upset, we might even laugh at it. Sometimes we might also get upset with them, but that's really optional. And we think that if we're perceiving these things on television, it's not real. But if we're perceiving it through our eyes, then it's real and we have to react to it. But he says, no, there's a drama going on. And the drama is there at this time of the confluence age to test you, not for any other reason. So he says, when you see a situation which is not to your liking, this is a test to see whether you can remain neutral or not. So if you practice to remain neutral in these tests, then you become good at it. The other thing he tells us is this is the time of settlement of karma. And so you have the illusion of being affected by things. And there's a very good phrase in Hindi that I like very much that we don't have in English. And that is, when somebody is doing something that you think is not right or that they will give themselves a problem, then Baba says, Tumhara kya jata hai? And this is very, very important yukti to use. If somebody is doing a negative karma and you are observing it, you need to have a personal policy that I will not suffer for another person's negative karma. Already you may have to suffer for your own negative karma, but there's nothing to suggest that you should suffer for some other person's negative karma, completely unnecessary. So we would not do that. But you have to practice this because the sense organs and sense perception grabs your mind and you say, this person made me angry, this person made me upset, this person made me afraid. Actually, this is incorrect. This person did something and I, by myself, by my own choice, became upset. That means Gyan means we have to take responsibility that if I am upset, it's because I chose to be upset. It's optional. Something may be upsetting, but you can use this also very good phrase, which Dadi Jenki taught me to use in these kind of situations. She said, consider this, it is happening, some negative thing, it is happening, but it is not happening to me. So if it's not happening to me, then it becomes quite easy to be a detached observer and watch. There are different levels of detached observer, and the really good one is Sakshi Drishta. You're really distant from it. The more you come into your soul conscious stage, the more you're creating distance between yourself and what's happening, because you are withdrawing from the body. So one of the 8 powers is called the power to withdraw. And we must practice this power. The picture that goes with it is the picture of the tortoise. And he pulls his head and his tail and his 4 legs inside the shell. And this is what we can also do. Turn within, go within, and everything that's on the outside is just on the outside. And I am on the inside with God. So whatever is happening on the outside, it is what it is. And it is happening, no doubt. But what's happening to me is I am with God and I am happy, because that's fine. All the things that are going on in the drama are there for 2 special purposes. One is to make us strong. Secondly, to make us experienced. So use these situations to develop yourself. They're not there for any other reason. And Baba says everything in drama is beneficial, but it's up to us to find out the benefit and to use it to our own advantage. Another very important thing is, even if something does make you upset or make you unhappy, you don't have to stay like that. You can let go of it very quickly and just remind yourself that, oh, this is one more scene of drama and it's okay. Right? Does that give you some clarity?
अभी जो आप क्वेश्चन का आंसर बोलिएगा और हिंदी में लिखिएगा, मुझे कुछ लोग हैं उनसे फिर भी समझ रहे हैं। तो दीदी जैसे हम नंबर बुला रहे हैं किसी को, तो उसकी फोन की जाएगा।
So, Suman Didi, I'm not able to hear you. You have to speak in some kind of microphone which is connected with the Zoom, or tell your question to someone who can tell it to me. I could hear the other sister easily.
Didi, I think Didi wants that because the people are, wanting to listen in Hindi.
Also, then she has to translate, or you have to translate. I can't say these things in Hindi. My Hindi is very limited. This is why I told to Dheeraj Bhai that he had to translate for me.
दीदी जो हम जैसे कि हम किसी को नंबर मिलाते हैं, तो वो जिसको नंबर मिलाते हैं वो नंबर का मिलाने का काम सैटेलाइट करती है।
Very difficult for me to hear Suman Didi. I can hear only that sister. Or
किसी को नंबर मिलाते हैं, फोन मिलाते हैं, तो ये फोन मिलाने का काम सैटेलाइट करके देता है। तो इसी प्रकार जब हम किसी को शुभ भावना का संकल्प भेजते हैं, तो ये काम जो है अगर बाबा करते हैं तो वो पूरा का पूरा उसको मिल जाएगा। लेकिन अगर वो हमारी बाबा करते हैं तो उसको उस तरह से नहीं पहुंचता है। तो ये कैसे उस तरह से पहुंचे और वो बाबा कैसे उस चीज को करें, वो क्या हो सकती है?
okay, sister, can you just repeat what Didi said, because I couldn't hear properly?
दीदी जब हम किसी को नंबर मिलाते हैं, फोन नंबर मिलाते हैं,
आपके आवाज मुझको नहीं पहुंचता है, तो दूसरी बहन जो बोल रही थी उसकी आवाज मुझको पहुंच रहा है।
I think what Didi is asking, maybe I'm even not properly audible. Little bit I could listen, but if Dheeraj Bhai is there as a participant, would he be able to speak, or so that I can then translate in English? Because in fact it is not even audible to me properly, Didi.
Yeah, because they're not using a microphone plugged into the Zoom. They're using the microphone in the whole auditorium. And so I get feedback and this type of sound. So like yours is plugged in and I can hear you. So I could hear a little bit that Didi was saying about Shubh Bhavna and Shubh Chintan, and that's really correct. That's absolutely right. But now I'm not hearing anything from her at all.
Om Shanti Shashi Didi. Om Shanti Shashi Didi. You can unmute yourself and ask the question. Shashi Didi, unmute yourself.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
Can
fine.
you hear me? Okay.
Yeah.
I can't see Didi.
But yeah, even you are invisible. Shashi Didi.
Yes.
Yeah, we could hear you. You can ask your question. Didi, you can ask your
Okay.
question. Yeah.
Okay. Om Shanti Didi. First of all, thank you for such an elaborate and insightful, what should I say, your words of wisdom. They have really enlightened us, especially in times of corona crisis, when the minds are not so stable, steady, and still, as you have mentioned in your talk. Well, I have just a very small question. You have explained it so well that there's not a need for any big question. Very small question. I often hear about transparent mind and intellect. What exactly is meant by transparent mind and intellect, and how can, what effort and what attention is needed to acquire a transparent mind? How to make your
This is a very
subconscious
good
mind,
word. Transparent.
how can you make your subconscious mind
Transparent means
transparent?
that whatever you are on the outside, it is the same on the inside. Your inside and your outside is the same. If the intellect and mind is not transparent, you have one thing inside, ek cheez andar, dusri cheez bahar. That's not transparent. So Baba speaks to us about Paras Buddhi. Paras is a diamond. A diamond is completely transparent. Another aspect of transparent intellect is that you can see deeply the truth that is so often hidden away. You can understand the truth. And truth is very disturbing. If you get the real truth, it's very upsetting. And people don't like it. Or if you speak honestly, people don't like it because it makes them look bad, or it may expose them. And so people don't like to be transparent because other people don't want to be seen because they're not clean. And if a person is not clean, then they definitely don't want you to see that. So they will not be transparent. But we learn about purity. And gradually, our mind and intellect, our desire, our intention, everything is so clean and so pure that you can like open up your heart like Hanuman and you will just see Ram inside, because you don't have any other intention. You're not jealous. You're not desiring power. You're not desiring position. You're not manipulating for something. You're not lying. You're not cheating. You're not stealing. You are the same, outside, inside, like this. You remember Dadi Prakashmani? She was a very good example of a perfectly transparent mind and intellect. Did you know her?
No, I didn't meet her. I've only heard about her.
Amazing being, really a wonderful being. I lived with her for about 8 years. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
दीदी कभी आवाज आ रही है?
ओम शांति सुमन दीदी, आपका आवाज नहीं पहुंचता है क्योंकि आप वो बड़ी माइक में हो जिसमें वो सभी सुन रहे हैं, तो आपको छोटी माइक लेना पड़ता है जो कनेक्टेड है जूम से. But it's okay. Thank you Vicky, very much.
आवाज आ रही है?
आवाज आती है आपका थोड़ा, लेकिन आपका माइक्रोफोन सभी सुन रहे हैं, इसलिए बहुत फीडबैक है और बहुत डिस्टोर्शन है, इसलिए सुनने में नहीं आता है. और जो जिसका माइक वो इंडिविजुअल माइक है और पीए सिस्टम पे नहीं है, तभी मैं सुन सकती हूँ. यही अभी थोड़ा आ रहा है आपका. लेकिन सुमन दीदी के आवाज नहीं पहुंचता है मुझको.
Didi, shall I say some vote of thanks for Didi?
Oh yes, yes. Otherwise, if she can speak on a mic like you, that's just a little.
I wanted Suman.
ओम शांति दीदी, अभी आवाज आ रही है?
जी.
अभी आवाज आ रही है? दीदी, जैसे हम किसी को नंबर मिलाते हैं तो वो फोन उसको जाकर मिल जाता है, और ये काम नंबर मिलाने का सैटेलाइट करता है. तो अगर किसी को हम शुभ भावना भेजते हैं तो ये काम अगर बाबा करते हैं, बाबा करेंगे तो पूरा पहुंचेगा. अगर वो हम सिर्फ करते हैं तो वो पूरा नहीं पहुंचता है, उसका प्रभाव उस पर नहीं दिखता है. तो ये कैसे बाबा ही कर दे, अगर हम सिर्फ संकल्प करें और बाबा कर दे, ऐसा वो पावरफुल उसको शुभ भावना पहुंच जाए, इसको कैसे करें?
नहीं, बाबा हम सभी को सब अपना पावर, अपना सब एवरीथिंग दे रहा है ना. फिर कहता है मैं अभी जाना चाहता हूँ, और आपको बाबा का काम करना है, लेकिन फिर भी आप बाबा से कनेक्टेड है. लेकिन बाबा आपके द्वारा कुछ न कुछ कर रहा है, और आप बाबा की तरफ से आपकी पर्सनल शक्ति से कुछ न कुछ बहुत अच्छा पावरफुल ब्लेसिंग्स. बाबा ने कहा ना, आप महादानी, वरदानी, कितने टाइटल्स हम सभी को मिला है, लेकिन टाइटल अनुसार काम करना माना बाबा को शो करना और बाबा को रिटर्न भी देना बाबा की टीचिंग से. तो आप कितनी बहुत ब्यूटीफुल और स्पेशल शक्तिशाली आत्मा हो, तो आपकी ब्यूटीफुल प्योर ब्लेसिंग्स बहुत दूर दूर तक पहुंचेंगे जरूर. और बाबा आपसे बहुत बहुत खुश जरूर होगा जबकि आप इनकी टीचिंग्स इतने गुह्य रीति से धारण करते हो और सभी की बेनिफिट के लिए, कल्याण के लिए पहुंचा देती हो. ऐसा है ना?
थैंक यू दीदी, आपने हमें गीता का भी बताया कि गीता जो है वो चीजों पर बनी हुई है, कर्म और हमारे ऊपर और योग के ऊपर. तो जरूर है कि गीता पढ़ा होगा लोगों ने, लेकिन कर्म हमें वो फल देता है, हमें इच्छा नहीं करनी चाहिए. पहले भी पढ़ा होगा, लेकिन आपकी बात से जरूर ध्यान देंगे. और ट्रांसपेरेंट हम है कैसे बने, ये भी जरूर है कि व्यक्ति ध्यान देगा. और आपने अपने बहुत व्यस्ततम समय से निकाल कर समय हमें दिया, और हम सबको बहुत अच्छा लगा कि हम आपसे रूबरू मिले. थैंक यू दीदी. ओम शांति.
थैंक यू. ओम शांति.
बहुत
बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद.
थैंक यू दीदी.
Om Shanti.
विशिंग हो रही है, विशिंग हो रही है।
Thank you to everyone. Huh? Bye bye.